Broken Steel was about the 2008 financial crash.
Sacrifice. But the child refused to follow the father's selfless example, instead allowing a true hero to venture into the irradiated control chamber of Project Purity.
Broken Steel was the fourth Fallout 3 DLC we played. It's unique among the DLCs in that its purpose was to extend the unpopular end of the main quest with a few extra stages before a more open-ended conclusion for the game. As such, it can effectively be split into two parts: the actual extended mission that takes the player to Adams Air Force Base, and the side content that constitutes the post-game following the end of the vanilla main quest. These two parts seem to be unknowingly in direct ideological contradiction with each other. Elder Lyons?
Careful now, careful. Don't move too quickly. Everything's fine, you're safe. You're in the Citadel. I was starting to think you might never wake up.
This DLC could be criticized for undoing the sacrificial end of the vanilla main quest, but we honestly think that speaks more to the failings of that quest and not necessarily the DLC itself, which was more or less a band-aid. The questline towards Adams AFB continues to use the Enclave as the main antagonist, effectively making these quests anti-fascist, but little thought was put into their structure or operations, since all of the major players were killed or missing by this late point in the game. The loss of Liberty Prime due to an Enclave superweapon loses its gravitas when the fascist pulling the trigger is the nameless Enclave Squad Sigma leader. The only real redeeming qualities to these quests are the Tesla Cannon weapon, the Margot character, and of course killing the Enclave. Do you know anything regarding the war that happened 200 years ago?
While I am not privy to current or past events due to severance of my communications system, I am aware a situation must have occurred.
While the extended mission is anti-fascist in nature, the side content is instead born out of neoconservatism. The entire future of Project Purity was clearly written as Bethesda's personal critiques on the economic crash of 2008, and how more austerity would make things better. It's like they realized that they had written Elder Lyons and the Capital Brotherhood to be so nice that they were doing better acts of charity than real-world governments were, specifically with the goal of distributing vital resources to literally everyone. And it's like Bethesda decided to correct this mistake by writing a nonsensical world where austerity works and 1 + 1 = 3. The only thing missing is the scribes complaining about Obama.
I don't really have anything I can give you at the moment. I've simply, run out of resources. Only a quarter of my escorts have made it back. I fear the worst. I'll send word to Bigsley, the Brotherhood scribe running things over at Project Purity.
Scribe Bigsley is the character introduced to be the mouthpiece for Bethesda's opinions on how austerity is good and welfare is bad. He has already enacted several policies before the player can do anything, and he cannot be challenged in any way. He gives excuses about payment that make no sense, considering at this point in the story his organization have access to an infinite amount of a highly desirable resource. But is the story about a labor shortage in what could otherwise be nearly a post-scarcity water situation? No. It's about how the Brotherhood is going bankrupt from trying to pay people to take free things. The ridiculousness of this is never called out or even acknowledged. On top of everything else, Bigsley admits to doing literal fraud under the table, but it is portrayed as just and moral, and all the player can do is echo dialogue lines about why not pay.
If Lyons wants to chase after his deliveries, fine, let him do it. But I'm done wasting resources and risking lives on this pet project of his.
For what it's worth, you aren't the only one who feels that way.
The character is clearly written to be likable by middle-aged stockbrokers and little else. If they wanted to make the Brotherhood flawed, they could have given more attention to their already established anti-mutation biases or invent structural issues that make sense, but it seems they were worried that would make them too similar to the Enclave. The only good thing about these side quests were that it gave us the opportunity to have our character explain why Austerity and Bigsley are idiotic, and that the austerity on display in the Capital chapter here inadvertently foreshadowed how the Brotherhood became fascist themselves by the time of Fallout 4. Yay?
I guess he's more clever than I thought. He's probably planning on selling the real Aquapura to raiders and slavers. Huh. Now there's a thought. Of course, Lyons would have my head if I tried anything of the sort.
And so we give Broken Steel a 3 out of 10. Only bother if it's already there.